Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Roundup here on BloodbowlLive. Here to go through all of the last week's action from the A&DBBL Season 9. Scott and Luke joining me this week to go through 10 games that we had in the past week. We're going to dive straight in, but before we dive straight in, we're going to go somewhere that I don't think we've been so far this season. I'm slightly terrified about returning there, but I put my faith in Scott's Corner. Scott, handing over to you.
Good evening, Christopher. Good evening, Luke. Good evening, chat. Dearly beloved, everybody as well. Blood Bowl coaches from A&DBBL and Blood Bowl coaches and other people from beyond as well. No, you haven't been in a coma for the last year, Christopher. Yes, it's returned like a roger with juggernaut that just keeps on coming whether you like it or not. Welcome again to the 5-minute segue where financial charity-based exploitation, merchandise hype and caffeine-fueled insanity all skip hand in hand through the meadow of incandescent Blood Bowl rage. That is the A&DBBL. It is stress testing time for Chris Coe's therapy. So, welcome to Scott's Corner. What's in the corner tonight? Well, we have got new A&DBBL merch news with some maybe shout-outs for certain fees are outstanding. And we've got the emotional manipulation as we look to raise more money for funds for a truly, truly great cause. This year, we are supporting St. Elizabeth's Hospice. It's a fantastic charity that brings an incredible amount of support and help to those who need it in our area here in Suffolk. Okay, so what do we have for you that will help these people as well? What will make your life truly complete? So I am proud to share with you the new all singing, all dancing Season 9 A&DBBL mug. Is that nice? Can you gentlemen see both sides? I'll take your lead from there. There you go. Beautiful. Like, so you got A&DBBL, you got Blood Bowl Live, you got Match Day Love. Oh, what can you not love about that? Now, these are going to be limited. It will be first come, first serve. These are 100% machine crafted cylinders, each of which I'm pleased to say has its very own exclusive handle. You will not find this handle on any other mug. It will be your handle and your handle alone. So, why, dear Blood Bowl coach, do you need one of these in your life? It's not just a mug. This is the gateway to Blood Bowl utopia. This is acceptance into an elite circle of individuals whose family heirs may have a very small chance of appearing on a future Antiques Roadshow with this little gem as well. This is more than a mug. This is a statement of intent about who you are. So, what can't this mug do for you? It can't get Chris Coe more therapy. That's just a lost cause. We have to accept it with our love and support him as much as we can. And all I can say is there is nothing, no categorically or absolutely true, no scientific proof at all to show how much your life will improve with one or more of these mugs. But such is the legacy of the A&DBBL mug. Here's some feedback from famous individuals or not so that's simply been plagiarized and attributed to the previous mug success. It's why I get up in the morning, Ryan Gosling. Mad for it, banging, Lewis Hamilton. Get out before I set the dogs on you and beat you with a golf club, Hannah Montana. Lovely, lovely. So you know we want these. Now, only one of these, you ask, how much is that? Times are tight, times are tough and hard. I mean, look at Chris Coe. He only eats off sterling silver plated cutlery and knives and forks these days. So one of these little beauts, only £15. Now, before people get emotional, it's not just a mug in the £15. Oh no. Included is a £6 donation to St. Elizabeth's Hospice. So not only do you join this club of exclusive brotherhood and sisterhood and fraternity of Blood Bowl, you help the cause as well. Okay, supply is coming in. Hopefully it'll be in this week, and they was not expected to be around for long. If you want one, DM me on Discord or on Messenger. And yes, if you are outside the Suffolk area, so I'm calling out to the Lord Pat Van der East as well, who was after one previously, and other people around the nation, we will post it. Let me know, and we'll get that covered for you as well. Do not go into the A&D shop to ask for one. Your tears will simply fall on the stony ground as Scott Phipps crushes your dreams, rightly so, in ruthless and mirthless Hawaiian shirted splendor. So they're coming. You want one in your life? Yes, you do. £15. You raise money for charity. What's not to love? You know, live the dream. Long live the revolution. Christopher, back to you.
Did you miss it?
Yeah, I did.
I missed it.
That's
We
it.
gained
That's
a
me
whole
done.
4 viewers during that, so
Did
clearly
you?
it's working. Yeah.
I probably scared off 20.
Yeah.
Well, £15 a mug, £6 goes to charity. What's not to love? Contact Scott if you want a mug.
I'll put you down for 12, Chris. Is that right?
Yeah, I need one for each of my staff, and Tom Hovell will have 50 for his staff as well.
Excellent.
Let's dive into this week's Blood Bowl action then, and we start off with Snotlings versus Snotlings, the highly anticipated Snotling off coming in the Swamp Dome group, and it was a 2-0 victory for the Melton Mutt Packers on this occasion. A surprising small amount of casualties coming in this game, 2-1 in favour of the Blobby team. But a result that maybe based on how these two seasons had been going could have been expected here. Scott, we will come to you first. We knew that inducements were going to be an interesting one to watch here because while there was a difference between the teams, it was kind of relatively minimal. And in the end, it looks like just the two kind of Goblin star players coming in for Phil, but maybe not having much of an impact.
No, very true indeed, Chris. We had talked about this because, as we've discussed a lot of times, if you're going to play Snotlings or you're going to play against them, you need to be aware of what you're going to face. The pouring rain is not going to help, so it really was about who could maximize the utility of the trolls and the pump wagon. So, a bit of a pump off. Is that a thing, or I just trademarked that?
I don't think we should use the phrase pump off, but
no, especially I'm glad Tom Feeks isn't on. That's all I'd say at this point in time. I think it was one of those matches. It looks close. It is. You've got, on a normal match, which would be, heady number of casualties. You've got 8 casualties between two teams, but relative to, Snotlings, 8 almost feels like a gentle afternoon stroll in the park, doesn't it? So a good win for Andy as well, showing how to play these the guys without necessarily utilizing the megastar status as well. Puts Andy, I believe, unbeaten now in terms of
still unbeaten. Yeah,
still unbeaten, still looking very, very good indeed. So yeah, I think isn't he now secured, or are we going to come on to that in terms of the playoffs?
After this game, I think he did secure his fate after this game, secured his place in the top 4. Phil was already secured in the bottom 4 after this one. So, a key game for Andy here. Luke, firstly, thank you very much for joining us this week.
Hello, thank you for having
in the
me.
space of Mr. Hovell. We probably, based on how their seasons were going, it probably made sense that this was the way this one was going to go. But Andy will have sort of possibly expected different from Phil. Phil lowered his team value going into this one to almost not, which almost didn't give him the additions because he got rid of the pump wagons. So a different kind of adjustment that Andy will have needed to make. He may have been expecting some bigger players to come rather than the 2 goblins.
Yeah, I think so. And it looks like, I think I'm reading this correctly. It looks like Andy, because they both had 130k of inducements. So one of them must have paid from their treasury at the start of that. Is that right? Because there's Fungus and Loon and Bomber on Phil's side, but then Andy had Mascot and Rookies.
So yeah, I think what would have happened then is Phil would have paid for the inducements, being the lower team value team. So they would have been going into the game at pretty much the same team value. It looks like 5k in it.
Yeah.
Phil's then spent money, which is then given Andy the inducements, and the inducements that he then took was a possible extra reroll and a bunch of additional Snotlings. So
yeah,
he's kind of
which maybe made the difference. And the other thing I found quite impressive in this is that the troll got the touchdown, and then later was potentially awarded a touchdown. Was this a concession on Phil's side?
I don't think so. I think the troll just got 2 touchdowns.
Just got 2 touchdowns. Yeah, it's just that. Yeah, even so, it's still impressive that those trolls have managed to A, pick up the ball, and then B, make it all the way to the end zone without being stupid. which my troll regularly fails at.
It'll be
It's
interesting if,
interesting.
yeah, I was
Well,
going to say,
have you seen the SP on that troll? Excuse me.
we'll have a look now. 10 standing SP currently. So is he saving up for a secondary, maybe? Possibly
I think
thinking.
that's the block troll.
Yeah, secondary is going to be block on that troll, which is going to be pretty good. If Phil or Andy are in the chat, it'd be good to know kind of, yeah, how that came about, whether there was a touchback or something similar. A good win for Andy, a win that secured his place in the top four. We will come back to Andy later on for his second game. But for now, we are going to move on to a 3-0 victory for the Wardenhof Blood Knight Vampires versus the Snotball Furies Ogres. 3-0 victory for the Vampires, but 4-0 on casualties to the Ogres, getting a good amount of removals against this Vampire team. And a strong result for Mitch, who needed some strong results. He came into this one looking to come back off a string of tough games. Started the season with 3 losses from 3, got a win against Dark Elves, and then came into this one to get another good haul of SPP. Luke, these vampires are now starting to look a little bit scary. There's a number of blocks on there, strip ball on a blitzer. They are starting now to just get the skills they need to become quite a threat after a slow start.
I think so. I'm getting flashbacks from the final against John and Vampires, but I think, I think he's building them quite well. It's kind of similar to John's team in build with a few differences, but I think his performance recently has really been picking up. And I guess the Vampires just had the speed advantage over the Ogres. You know, you have quite a lot of movement 5, movement 6, and Vampires can just run circles around them, especially if they're boneheaded.
A interesting build that was brought to this season from Carl. He went for no rerolls with the Ogres. Scott, Ogres versus Vampires are an interesting matchup because they both have a nega trait that can immediately kind of change the plans mid drive in the Bonehead on one side and the Bloodlust on the other. Does it seem like Carl is maybe, he's gone for all the Ogres, not gone for the rerolls? Is that where he's struggling this season?
I don't think it seems, Chris. I think it is. I think as I think it just shows that whilst it's the purity of essence of Blood Bowls have no rerolls, it's a dice game. The more you can help those dice rolls, the better. And just going back to Mitch there in terms of what he's done, we talked about his previous win against Simon and his Dark Elves. He has followed that up really, really well as well. And yeah, this is starting to look like a very, very good vampire team. As Luke was mentioning, all of those core skills on the blitzers, the vampires themselves, the runners, the throwers, and he's using the thrall linemen exactly as what they're for, cannon fodder. So I think he's done a really, really good job. I think for Carl, come back to the rats, mate. Get yourself back. In there. It's where you enjoy. It's what you like. Come on. And then you'll feel the love as well. Get yourself settled back in. But it's been a difficult. You look at we'll come back to talk about the overall season, I'm sure, later in the stream. So yeah, it was one of those days. Mitch played the perfect game, 3-0, got the casualties, got all the SP. Well played, so well played.
I think now that 5th place goes through from this group because Jack has played his games but won't be progressing, suddenly that fight for 5th is going to be key, and the number of points you need for 5th is not going to be as high as the points you'll need for 4th. So makes this very interesting and makes this a very important win for Mitch and his Vampires. We will come back to another game that Mitch plays a little bit later on. But first, we're going to talk to the missing man of the day, Mr. Tom Hover. We're going to talk about his game, a 3-0 victory for the Dark Elves against his Boneyard Blitzers. A good result for Claw of Corn, cementing their place at the top of the Swamp Dome group. And a very tough day for Mr. Hovel. A difficult day on the dice rolls. The bad luck that he has with his dice historically very much coming back to haunt him in this game. If you want to watch that happen, you can rewatch this game on YouTube. It was one of our streams. If you want to watch and sympathize, but Scott, I mean, these Dark Elves of Phil's have really become a team to watch now. Lots of key skills on there. They have cemented their position at the top of the group. They are going to finish top of this group with all likelihood. And they've absolutely, after an early loss in the season, have gone unbeaten since from 6 from 6.
Yeah, if you actually watch the match, Phil played it really, really well, sat deep, and he did bait. I felt he baited Tom into quite a few frenzy side traps as well, which is why Tom very early in the first half had his 2 blitzers served. And then it's just a numbers game, especially when you've got Edge, and the speed of Dark Elves versus the Orcs. So again, very similar to how Mitch is building now the vampires. We're seeing certain teams really, really start to develop. We'll come on to the I-Town Gougers. We'll come on to talk about the Disco Rats and a few others like that. So yeah, see some very exciting developments in terms of team structure. But this one is a classic, isn't it? If you look at the setup of the Delves here as well. 2 blodgers in terms of your blitzers, 1 tackle blitzer, and then the third one with blodge and sidestep. That's a beautifully disgusting combo, if ever there was one as well. You've got leader for the extra reroll. You've got sneaky gits, and then 2 wrestles on your one on your lineman, and then 1 on your witch elf. That's looking really, really good as well. And some nice SP. So the nice thing at the level that Phil's at, he's only going to require 1 or 2, scores or casualties to take these players now to suddenly 2 skills. And then exponentially, that's going to be a really, really strong team. The only thing which will be interesting, he's got 12 players. He's got the 2 rerolls, got 100k in the bank and a reroll. Great. It's looking expensive. It's already just a shade under 1.4 million. Is that something which we'll have to keep an eye on for? We've seen what someone playing a star player can do. Just the 1 morgue can decimate a team very, very quickly. So I think Phil's in a great position, and good luck to him in terms of the championship knockout. Mr. Hovel, keep going. He's done very well this year. We've seen him, enjoying these boneyard blitzers, and I think a bit more, maybe some dice, maybe some other little tweaks and bits and pieces. But yeah, I can see a future with Mr. Hovel and with these greenskins.
Phil's in the chat saying you could tell by turn 8 that poor Tom was done with his orcs. Phil got most things, all the KO events, all the kickoff events, a blitz. Snapper was just terrible. Luke, it's tough when you get a day like that where just nothing goes your way in any kickoff event or anything. But Tom does have quite a good orc build here to take into that bottom playoff. He's got some good block skills there. Mighty blow tackle on one of his blitzers. Guard blitzer there. His thrower looks decent. Like he's got a good team to take into the next stage of the tournament.
Yeah, I think so. I think, sure. Was this a 2-0, 3-0 loss? 3-0. Is always tough. And to bounce back from that and keep playing is always tough. But there is a dice game. There is always another roll you can make where it flips that turn. And I don't think Tom should feel too disappointed with that, especially considering how Phil's been playing the rest of the season. It was going to be a tough game regardless. I do personally like his choice of Scrapper, taking him as a star. I think he's quite fun and useful. But I haven't actually watched this game back yet, so I mean, Phil's saying he wasn't very good in this, but I do quite like the idea of having a movement 7 goblin you can throw. But Tom doesn't have a troll though, so yeah, I wonder why he did take Scrapper there. Maybe it was just he had the money and could take him there.
Yeah, Tom did have a he spent the money on Scrapper. He did have a troll and a goblin that he took for previous games and then sacked for other games. So he's kind of played around with his treasury quite a lot. He's still sat on a good treasury. So his team value is only 1125. If he wanted to take either another reroll or even possibly another reroll and a troll into the next game, I think he could do that as well.
And he's down a blocker at the moment as well.
Yeah, which will be tough for him in the next round. You know, I think Tom's got a team here that he can progress in the next round and get some good results. And yeah, hopefully he gets maybe a bit of that bad luck turnaround. Phil in the chat again saying, I did make a mistake and there was a dodge 1 dice blitz on the ball carrier. Missed on turn 3 and turn 4. So some opportunities for Tom there that didn't work out. So well done to Phil though. And these dark elves are looking like one of the scarier dark elf teams out there. He's done very well with them. They can be a difficult team to build, but he has dominated this group now, and he's going to be a threat in playoffs for sure. Moving on to our next game, and it is a victory for the World's Edge Berserkers against the Lavender Lynxes, 2-0 against the Amazon side here at the top of Middenheim Group. A win that secures Jamie's qualification into the top 4, so he is locked in now for the top half of the playoffs. Luke, we'll come to you first on this one. You faced Jamie once this season. We've been saying all season long that, you know, Jamie only plays dwarves. He's relatively consistent with them. He's been very consistent with his skills. He's a tough coach to face, and all of that tackle will have been a problem for these Amazons.
Yeah, it's Jamie is getting so I'd not played him before until this season, but seeing how he plays those dwarves is formidable. And with a team that innately counts or kind of counteracts your team, I think Graham was always going to have a tough game against these with so much tackle. And the guard and the mighty blow, he kind of loses those benefits, and losing both of his blockers in, you know, middle of first half removes that strength 4 advantage he might have had against him. But yeah, I think it's Jamie's going to be definitely one to watch as we move on into the knockouts, I think.
Scott, this doesn't rule Graham out for a space in the top 4. It is still a possibility for him, although there's teams below him who can go above. He's still, I believe, he's still got games to play as well. So there are opportunities to move up. This group is looking quite tight, but Jamie looks to have kind of put his place possibly at the top of it.
I think Jamie has taken on the momentum of the last several matches to get to where he is tonight. I think, yeah, he's pretty firm favourite for one of those top 4 positions, Chris. If you look at the way he's played this particular match, a classic dwarf match as well. So you got 2 injuries, missed next game in the first half, and then he scores a touchdown. So you're going to be up against it in terms of, you know, the numerical game as well, and also then in terms of trying to force that again, where if you've got to roll the dice, you haven't got that luxury of dodge left in your armory as well. So yeah, really, you know, a good effort from Graham, obviously, but Jamie just did come up a little bit stronger as well. Although, as you've mentioned, you know, Jamie does have 2 warrior blockers, Jaguar warrior blockers, missing from the next match. The Piranha warrior blocker is passing 6 now, it doesn't matter. But he's still got a lot of good core skills within this as well. And some of his, you know, random skills, wrestle, tackle, kick on the lineman or the line women, that's really good. They're very, very useless as well. And to have a frenzy, dauntless wrestle piece as well there, you know, in the backfield, just for 80k, that's very useful indeed. So yeah, well done him. I think yeah, we'll see how Graham goes in the championship, and I think Jamie in the championship, and I think there is definitely an opportunity to get into that championship still for Graham.
This is Graham's best season for kind of bit more consistency and a little bit less bad luck for his results. He's in the chat saying the keg was very useful, had 7 KOs by the end of the first half, and the keg got most of them back for the second. So that's a very good use. I think sometimes people look towards star players and other things, and sometimes you can kind of get into a position where you forget how useful just taking things like kegs and coaches and stuff can be, just for that little extra. So well used by Graham there. Also saying his guard also made it so I had to do multiple uphill dice to try and hit a ball carrier. So a difficult day for Graham, but still in a good position to get out of this group. He's got track position as far as I'm aware, so he just needs to keep that momentum going into his last game. On to another game in this group, and it was a 2-1 victory for the Elf Preservation Society versus the Wolverhampton Shamblers. A 3-0 advantage on casualties for the Necromantic Horror side, but a good first win for Mark in this season. And I think probably we can take a good amount of blame for we didn't half put a lot of pressure on Mark, giving him every single rating of being a dark horse for this season. But Scott, as a fellow Wood Elf coach, they can be tricky to start off with, and he started with quite a re-roll heavy positional light build. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to get his first win over the line.
He did, and I doff my hat to Mark. He's done a very, very good job there. What made it more impressive for me, okay, he had Helmut Wolf as a star player, but if you look at it, he scored early, and then Jane, who's very experienced with the Shamblers, there was 2 injury missed next games and an equalising touchdown by turn 8. So it really felt, if you go and watch it back on the YouTube as well, it really felt as he started the second half that Jane was sort of in the driving seat for this one. So I thought it was a really good effort from Mark. Yes, there was that classic elf bullshittery throughout the match as well, which is always, it's fun when it works for elves, and it's not fun when it works for the opposition coach as well, as Luke will attest to. So yeah, well done, Mark. A very good match indeed. And I think for Jane, again, to be very unlucky. It's been a very, very tough group, and yeah, I know she's got the edge to Ghoul Runner now and Fenris, everyone's favourite, absolute monster werewolf. So yeah, sometimes when the dice aren't going for you, it's a very, very tough day at the office.
Luke, the group is really tight. It is still mathematically possible for everyone to qualify. Jane's got a few more games in hand than the elves do. Is it too little, too late, or too late, or is that 4th position still just within enough reach that both of these teams can go for it?
I think so. I think everyone in our group has been playing exceptionally well. There hasn't been a single easy game that I've seen on any one side of it. And so it very much is going to come down to the final game, I think, who gets into that top 4 spot. Because I think there's still a chance that I could go down. It's that close, even though I've been near the top for most of the group. But as people are getting these wins and not getting draws and not getting wins, it's all upset. And I came over and watched a little bit of this game at the start, and this is another one that's I think was streamed, so it was on the channel. There was a moment where I think Mark broke Jane's add to Ghoul's armor on its first game in, and I think I can't remember if it went to a knockout or badly hurt, but it very much felt the kind of new toy on the board pain. But I don't know if that means it's now safe and it will live forever. But yeah, there was kind of loads of moments. It was a really good one to watch back.
Head over to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see this one on there for eternity, I assume. A good result for Mark. Will be very pleased to get the win here. He has got a couple of games left, and he could still get up to 10 points, which would put him 3rd at the minute if other results went his way. Jane also has the ability to get up to 10 points, so it's still not set on who of these two coaches is going to finish higher. We will have to see as the group progresses, but we will move on to the next game, and we are back at the Vampires and a 1-1 draw against Sir Honkington's Folly. Up in Dark Side group, a result that keeps the Vampires. They're in the top 4, but it stops them going much higher and gets some points on the board for the Gnome team in a game that I believe was much more chaotic than it looks, because there's not a huge, well, there's a lot of fouls, but not a huge amount else on the breakdown here for this game. But I believe Mitch said this was quite a chaotic one with various shenanigans happening, which you would expect from Gnomes. Luke, the Gnome team here, their kind of season is starting now. They're picking up some games. Hopefully they'll be able to get their remaining ones in. We've yet to possibly see the best of them. I think, considering the way the Vampires started to improve and the skills they started to get, Gnome's probably happy with meeting them at this point and at least getting a point out of it.
I think so. I think I've always had a bit of a soft spot for this Gnome team. They're just, the way Tom plays them as well is just no holes barred, full throttle always. So I think Mitch, not having encountered that before, may have been what allowed Tom to get that one touchdown straight away. And that tree getting MVP as well is it is becoming fearsome. Block, grab, juggernaut, 9 SPP ready. It's a terrifying big guy.
I would love for him to save up for sprint, but I don't think it's going to happen. It would be good though. Sidestep would be good. Scott, the Vampires then will. It's a brave move from the Vampires. Again, not too sure kind of what happened on the pitch here, but depending on how they were. No, I've got this completely wrong. I was about to say that the Vampires scored on turn 8, but it wasn't. It was the Gnomes that scored on turn 8. It looks like, though, Helmet maybe didn't do as much. There's no kind of casualties coming, and considering that Helmet turns most of those Vampires into armor 5, maybe the Gnomes would have hoped for a couple more casualties.
Yeah, I don't think Helmut Wolf's customer service feedback form will be particularly glowing after this match. As you said, that first half, 3 fouls and 1 sending off after the foul as well. So no casualties for anyone, that first half. So it does have one of the essence of a game whereby you might be able to roll armor breaks, but you can't get anything more than a stunned. So these happen. You mentioned a typical match earlier, Chris, where, like with Tom, where sometimes the dice just don't go your way. And sometimes you get matches like this where the dice just don't really perform for either coach in particular. I think for Mitch, we know that Tom with the Gnomes, he is building. He knows how to use these Gnomes. He's got some phenomenally, disgustingly wonderful trees, as Luke alluded to. So I think Mitch should be very pleased he took a point off this. I think it could have, on another day, how many times have we seen, teams in form appear and they'll play a really challenging team and suddenly they can lose not just 1 or 2 but maybe 3 or 4 key positionals as well, which really can put a banana skin under that season and under all of your development so far. So I think good point for Mitch, and I think plenty there for Tom to build on. He's going to have a big impact in the way the rest of this division goes.
In a group where 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th have 7 points and 6 points between them, it's going to be very interesting to see how important this result was for both coaches as we get towards the end of the season over the next couple of weeks. So we will definitely keep a lookout for that. But well done on both coaches there for a point either side. And we're going to return to Swamp Dome for a game that was very key for the Elven Union side, the Greystone Gladiators. Needed to get a win here, but unfortunately a 2-0 loss against the Melton Mudpackers, who continue their unbeaten run. of this season. An incredible season for this Snotling team. This result put them second in the group, just behind the Dark Elves here. A tough day for Justin in this one, facing up against a Morgan Hackflem setup, which was always going to be a struggle. Morgan Hackflem and then possibly 14 players on the pitch. We know that is the ultimate wall to face when you're up against Snotlings. Scott, Andy's done phenomenally here. I think looking at all of the other stunties that we have this season, the various Goblins teams that we've got Ogres dotted around, we've got Gnomes. This Snotling team looks like the one to be, and I'm not going to be surprised if we see them further than the last 16, maybe even sort of semi-finals.
I think whoever has to play them has to accept you are going to play, whether it's this, which is the classic Morgan Hackflem combo, or something very similar indeed. And you've got to keep an eye out for all the others, whether it's the Trolls or it's the Pump Wagon as well. Andy is using them really, really well. I really felt for Justin this match. I think I remember in Discord chat, he said he was down to 4 Ls after turn 3 or something like that. It was brutal, in a word. And I think it's one of those games where if Andy, the dice were rolling ridiculously hot, for Justin it was one of those nights to sort of move on as quickly as possible, minimize any casualties, because if you look at the Greystone Gladiators team at the moment, they do seem very, very fragile and sparse. And it happens to all of us, no matter how good of a coach you are. And we know Justin is Justin. I won't say this again in public on recording. Justin is an incredibly good coach. We know that he's got a proven track record. He's won tournaments. He knows his stuff. And, he won the Ipswich Classic with Elven Union, and he knows exactly how to get the best of them. And this season, I feel for him because I feel myself in a similar boat as well. When it's just not going your way in particular matches, it can take you the next match to find your feet again and then move on from that as well. So this team, he's got the 2 re-rolls, one which is leader based as well. He's only got 20k in the treasury, so it's going to have to be some more linemen, but he's got the Blodge blitzer, he's got the Blodge catcher as well, which is movement 9. He's got a phenomenal thrower as well, so he's always going to have opportunities as well. Unfortunately, how much did you weep on this one or did you wince, shall we say, Luke, when you were seeing this one come through?
So I watched a little bit of this in store, and it's I think these two even played in the Ipswich Classic, or if it wasn't with Andy, it was Justin definitely played a Priya Morgan Skitter combo in Ipswich Classic, which I think he won because he was unbeaten in the Classic. So it's it's not like he hasn't faced this before, but Mighty Blow +2 is tough to deal with, and if the dice aren't with you, I think it can quickly turn. And I think I would like to see from Andy, because I think I get the impression he's a little bit apologetic about playing this, but I want him to go full heel turn for the knockouts. I want maniacal laughter on every casualty with Morg. I think he has to really embrace how evil this is. It's a tier 1 team, isn't it? It's not a Snotling team. But he's playing it incredibly well. You can see all of his results. It's obviously working.
I think, yeah, I'd like to see Andy just owning this now, because the thing is, you can take Hackflem and Morg and a Snotling team, and we know that is an incredible build, but you do still need to know what you're doing. And Andy has, looked up what to do. He's looked up how to play this build and how to do it. You can't just turn up with Snotlings, Morgan Hackflem, and just expect to win every game. You do need to put the time in to know what to do and know how to play it. And he's doing that very, very well. So, he should absolutely take that as a win. I can confirm, at the Ipswich Classic, it was a 1-0 win. It was these two very teams, a 1-0 win for the Elven Union. It was against Morgan Skitter in that game. And I think another thing to note from Justin's side is that while he's had quite a tricky season, he did come into this season with no rerolls in order to bring players back. And he's now got one leader reroll, and he's since bought a reroll for the team. So he's now working with two. But that is a difficult position to come from. So I think, some credit to him there for bringing those players back. I guess the silver lining for Justin as well in this one was the catcher that he had, who had a stat increase and then a stat bust and cost 80k more than it should have done, was the one that died, that I think he was prepared to sack and hire a replacement anyway. So I guess the awkward conversation of sacking a player was taken from him by that player dying. So if we can find a silver lining in that, I guess we'll try. But well done to Andy. A good result. Greystone Gladiators with 2 games left to play, one against me, and I am slightly scared about it. So we'll see how that one goes. Moving on to Sunday's games, we had 3 games being played, all in the same group, all in Longship on Sunday, and it started with the Tipsy Tankers versus the I-Town Gougers in an absolutely brutal game. John getting 6 casualties here in his 2-1 win to the 2 casualties for the Norse team. This group, Luke, some of these like big hitters in here were always going to be scary. John, we always knew was going to be scary. He's a big hitter, although he didn't redraft this team, unlike the Tipsy Tankards. But this was brutal display against a very punchy team.
Yeah, so just looking a little bit ahead for this, John got 61 SPP in 2 games from these, which is just unprecedented. I mean, and especially against Norse, a tier 1 team where sure they're armor 8, but that's a lot of casualties to come through. And we all know how good John is. I think this would have been probably a really kind of fun one to watch, especially with the Norse taking the early lead.
Yeah.
And seeing how that kind of comeback ended. And I imagine it did just come down to kind of losses on the team side and not being able to field enough players to actually put up a defense.
That's exactly what Mr. Reader says in chat. Sorry, Chris, you were going to go there before me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say in the chat. High risk, high reward Blood Bowl from Robert kept the game close until injuries started to build up. At the start of turn 9, I decided to play for the draw, but the numbers advantage allowed for the push for the win. That's Scott. That's exactly what it looked like in that second half, because you saw the touchdown come on turn 11, and then we heard that Robert only had about 5 players left, and you thought, actually, John's got what should be a kind of comfortable walk down to take this win.
It was. Mr. Reader played this exceptionally well against a team who, with Robert playing that high risk game of Blood Bowl, it can be extremely, extremely difficult. When it works, the payoff is phenomenal. When it doesn't, it's a very long day at the office. And someone like Mr. Reader is not going to give you any opportunities that you don't deserve. He's really going to, put his, not to make John sound out like some sort of Caesar-esque type demigod, but he is. He will put his boot on the throat, as it were. He will go for the win. He will get the most out of these orcs. And as we'll come on to shortly, unbeaten again now in this season. It's going to take something special to beat him as well. You up for it, Luke?
Always.
Yeah, it's it was a tough day at the office for Robert, but if there's one good way to get over a 2-1 loss, it's a 3-0 win. And Robert went straight into the next game after this. Both coaches went straight into additional games, and Robert got a storming 3-0 victory against the Skeksis Carrying Pieces Lizardmen. 3-0, 1-1 on the casualties, but 3 injuries and a death for this Lizard team. And I have to say, Ash's team has taken a beating this season. He is since day 1, I don't think he has had a game where he's had a full roster. And I think this will be the first game where he's got kind of his regular positionals kind of remaining. But a Chameleon Skink dying in this game and having to replace it, it does make it really difficult. Luke, it makes it really difficult to build some momentum within your team when you're constantly having to replace kind of key positions. Ash has just done that all season.
I think so, yeah. And it's like I think Tom pointed out last week that he has managed to get a few good scoring pieces, and a kind of, block tackle is great on a Saurus for covering your backfield. But that and to be fair, there is the strength free up who's now missed next game, but that's kind of it. And it has been every game he's either losing a Saurus, losing a skink on the kind of precipice of leveling up. And so it's going to be tough, I think, for him to keep that momentum going, where it's so stop-start with losing players.
Scott, a great bounce back for Robert here. I mean, looking at the roster that he has to hand, he's got a very good tackle Valkyrie in there. He's got tackle on alignment, as well as all the built-in block. For all the benefits that Lizard men have, when you're struggling to get skills on them, there's very little in the way of skills to kind of help them with a good defense. You've got the strength and the speed and the armor, but you don't have anything like block to save you from a dice roll. Robert had everything he needed.
Robert did. And, even when you look at his team after this match, okay, he's one Ulf Werner out. Doesn't look as if it's going to matter, does it really? Is he going to take another re-roll? It'll be interesting to see. He does have the 2 balls. But yeah, if you look at that core team built around the strength of those 2 superstar Valkyries and the one Ulf Werner and Hi Harry, who, despite Edge 4 and Armor 7, with Mighty Blow guard tackle, that's what you want in your team, don't you? Really, someone to keep coming back like that. So, yeah, a really, really interesting team. My only consideration and concern as Robert goes forward with this team is some of that high risk, high reward going to cost him? It's going to be really interesting to see how that does proceed. I mean, if you take a look at Robert's team, and if you take a look at Justin's team, 2 very similar redrafted teams in that they are built around 2 or 3 key positionals, and even with the best 2 or 3, 4 maybe key positionals in the world, if everyone else is losing on your team, then it's going to be a very, very challenging thing. So, kudos and shout out for Robert. So far, so good. Keep it up.
Just to kind of put Ash's season into perspective, I'm looking at his players that have no longer taken part in this season. He's got a dead Saurus blocker, a sacked Saurus blocker because it was injured, a dead Chameleon Skink, a dead Skink line runner, another Chameleon Skink who was Adge stat busted. So that's what he's had to deal with this season. So to be in the position that he's in a really strong position in the group. It's likely that he will go through. There's still a very slim mathematical chance he doesn't, but all likelihood is that he does go through. And with that level of injuries, it's a very strong performance.
I think, though, Chris, for Ash's development for this team, if you look at the team, there are so many players. How many? Like, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 players who are just 1 touchdown or 1 cash, or 5 actually if you count that other Saurus blocker, away from having another skill. So suddenly you've got several more skills across a wider base, which is then you can start putting block on more of the Saurus, on the big guys. You can start then really adding some funky skills with these skills. And if he gets block, or if he gets something on the Crocs, then yeah, that's going to be a good one.
Well, Robert had a good bounce back from that game, and John continued his momentum for a 3-0 victory over Reckham AFC. 12 casualties, 38 SPP that John got from this game, which I think is probably a league record. I don't know of any other. I remember looking at ones previously in the season and thinking 32, 33. That's probably the most we've had. 38 is absolutely incredible from John's team. A tough day at the office for Scott, and we have to immediately give some credit to Scott Norman here, because I'm told that sort of the energy that Scott brings didn't drop at all in this absolute beating. His dice not going his way at all. absolutely stuck to his format. John's in the chat saying, "Well done to Scott on winning the pre-game inducement shenanigans. Knew the Highlander rule. Regards to biased refs like the back of his hand. Also, well done for not tilting." And yeah, I mean, with that level of sort of destruction, absolutely, not be blamed for it. I mean, his team, look at the number of Noblars in this team now that are missing next game. I guess if there's a silver lining for Scott here, Luke, it's that the two key members of this team are the Ogres, and he has consistently kept those Ogres alive this season.
Yeah, that's right. And I think Scott has, I think, openly declared this as a meme team, and coming up against John's very much experienced and highly skilled team was always going to be difficult. And I think, but as John said, like, I think John's plan to buy Jorm Yoga, which I think means you spot opponents' fouls more easily.
Yeah.
And buying that Highlander, so immediately cancelling that out. I think, it's clear Scott knows what he's doing. And when you play him, it's always a good time. And yeah, having those two Ogres, they're skilling up. And really, Noblars don't really matter. It is the Ogres which help the Ogre team. And so, yeah, I think it's a really fun team. And how he's playing it is great.
Scott, I think it's also, John, I think was favourite going into this. I absolutely love the kind of shenanigans of figuring out, like, John came into this knowing that Scott likes to foul, therefore he brought the ref. Scott's like, well, I'll meet you there. I love that kind of back and forth that they've had with that. It's considering the kind of gimmick that Scott has gone for with this staff heavy approach. It is probably his most difficult gimmick, I think, that he's gone for. I think even last year's Snotlings, if he got the right combination from the bingo machine, he had an incredible lineup. So for him to actually be in a position where he's currently in 5th in the group, if results went madly in his way, there is a very slim chance that he does still get the top. But 9 points is a good haul for a team that he has made difficult for himself.
He has. First of all, congratulations and phenomenally well done, Mr. Breeder, as always. Scott Norman, man, myth, legend. What can we say? Yeah, he just brings so much energy, enthusiasm, and passion to our community. Just a shout out to all the other coaches. If you're listening to this, if you want to know how to play exceptionally well Blood Bowl, keep an eye on John Reeder. Tips, tricks. Look and watch how he plays, structure of his game, etc. If you want to know how to embrace the whole culture of Blood Bowl and just the pure enjoyment and the insane fun that you can have from this game, Scott Norman is your man. And I can't say higher compliments and accolades than those.
A really good result for John here. Sounds like a massively entertaining game played out by both coaches, and a game that has some interesting views on the standings. We'll have a look at now. In the dark side group, James still sits at the top with the Argarth Muirs in 2nd, but we know that they won't progress, so that we know we're looking at 5th place here. And like we said earlier, it's very tight, 7-7, 6-6 on the points there, and Sir Hunkington's Folly with many games to play. All coaches can still creep into that top 5. So by far over in that group in particular. Looking at Longship, John's win. He finishes the group stage on 19 points, only dropping 2 points over the course of the season. An incredible job from him. Ash,
looking at the sorry, can you just point out the casualty count?
Yes, the 27 casualties is particularly impressive.
So he
Ash
got the same as Ash in that one game as Ash has had the whole season.
Yeah, that highlights that pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ash currently on 2nd, 12 points, likely enough in this group, but mathematically things could still not go his way. And many games left to be played. Robert moves his team into the top 4, and Wrexham AFC drop down into 5th. They will need other results to go their way now, and a big touchdown casualty swing to get them into that top 4. Looking at Middelheim, the Wodgers Berserkers move into top spot here, with the Orphic Gladiators in 2nd place, Foxhall Road Scavengers in 3rd, and Lavender Lynx is maintaining 4th, even though they lost. The Elf Preservation Society, you can see, still in 7th, but put themselves in a strong position. 4, 4, and 5 points. We'll all be looking at Graham's results now to see whether they can just best him in a couple of games and move themselves into a top 4. So a very close fight there for 4th place. And in Swampdown, Claws of Corn sit at the top, with Melton Mudpackers joining them in 2nd. Bitey Ducks still sit now in 3rd place, but have got guaranteed qualification. This group is actually done. The top 4 and bottom 4 are decided here. It is now just where do the Ducks finish and where do the Gladiators and the Blobby team finish, as to whether people move around. But qualification is sorted in Swampdown. We know the top 4 and the bottom 4. That is all of the games from this week. That is all of the ones that we have to cover. I went on the wrong screen there. A quick announcement before we end this week. Some of you may be aware, because you are likely possibly playing in it, that we have a tournament coming up at the shop at Aardvarks and Dragons this Saturday. The tournament has a particular theme around it, which has been decided for a long time. It's been the same one we've had for the last 3 years, called Death on the Deben. We are aware of some events kind of that have happened in and around the Deben and the local area that mean that openly kind of using that phrase and that title is no longer appropriate. Obviously, the various preparations have been done, and trophies and dice have all been bought and things like that. So if you now see us talking about this tournament, we will likely be not using the name of the tournament. We'll be using something a little bit more respectful, and we've just tweaked a couple of the wordings around some of the rules and things that take place, just to make sure that we are being respectful of events that have happened in the area. So tournament's still taking place. When attendees attend the tournament, trophies and things will still have the branding. We're just going to change the way we talk about it a little bit to be as respectful as we can. That's it from us this week. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you very much, Luke. Of course, a reminder of the mugs: £15 per mug. Contact Mr. Scott Bryant if you want one, and £6 of that goes to charity. So you are supporting a good cause, as well as having your morning cup of tea or coffee in a beautiful mug.
And just a quick reminder that Scott Phipps, as in this, the store is closed until Friday this week. So any games will need to be done in Hopsters if you want to do them before Friday.
Yes. Please do still play your games. Just play them over there instead. And if there's anything you need over the next few days, myself and Luke are available. So please do send us a message and we'll get in touch. Great. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We will be back next week for another roundup of all of the games, and we will see you then.